City Council of City of Perris, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, and all the other entities as listed on our agenda. This Tuesday, March 9th at 6:33 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Magana,
Present.
Councilmember Corona,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Here.
Councilmember Rogers, Councilmember Rogers,
Here.
There she is.
Mayor Vargas.
Here, thank you. Okay, for those joining us on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. A list of participants will appear on the right side of the screen. At the bottom of this list, please click on the gray raised hand button. This will signal to the host that you would like to provide public comment, and you will be added to the list. If you are using Zoom on your smartphone, tap your screen. A new screen will pop up with the list of participants. Look for the raised hand button on the screen. And for those who are calling in just on your iPhone or your phone, cell phone, you can hit *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to make a comment. And if you hit *9 again, it'll remove your request to speak. Okay, we'll continue on. Item number 3 is our invocation, which will be led by Pastor Connor Smith of the Temple Baptist Church. And if you'd remain standing for item 4, which will be our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Magana. I think Pastor Connor's frozen. Pastor, are you with us? Yep, he's frozen. Councilwoman Rogers, would
Good
you?
evening.
Oh, there
Let's
he
go ahead and
is.
bow our heads in prayer at this time to come and lead our city council meeting where there's so much truth.
Pastor Smith, if you can hear me, turn off your video. That may help, and you can just give your audio.
That you love and that you've given so much of your life to serve are sick, and many have died. It's been a tough year, Lord, and so I want to thank you for these people that so self-sacrificingly give themselves to this community that I proudly get to be a part of. And I pray that you bless them for that. I pray that you continue to give them wisdom as they lead and serve and sacrifice. And then I want to pray specifically for a swift end to this pandemic. I pray that as this vaccine is becoming more and more available, that more and more people would accept it. I pray that you would overcome many of the false narratives that happen to be swarming around out there, and that people would realize that this is something that is very safe, and it is something that will allow our economy to get back to normal, the people that we love to get back to normal, and those that are the most vulnerable to be able to live their lives and be with loved ones and friends and family once again. And so I pray for the vaccine rollout to continue to go smoothly, be with our city and county and state and federal officials as they oversee that. I pray that you be with the business of tonight. Again, give wisdom as decisions are made, conversations are had. May there be humility and civility, and may you be honored in all of it. And may our city be one that prospers for the good of all of its residents, regardless of race and creed, regardless of socioeconomic status. May this be a place where people can flourish. And we thank you for the city of Perris, for the privilege to live and serve in it. And we pray that you would guide, direct, and bless this meeting tonight. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, for leading us on our invocation. Item 5 is a report on closed session item. Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss 2 cases of potential
litigation, well, actually 3 cases of potential litigation, and the council was updated and no reportable action was taken tonight.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentation announcements. 6A is a presentation by the Department of Water Resources on the Perris Dam Emergency Release Facility, discussing the overall project and upcoming construction. This will be introduced by our city engineer, Mr. Stuart McKibben.
Sorry, Mayor. We have a large project that's coming into the city of Perris, and it's along Ramon Expressway. It's being put together by DWR, Department of Water Resources. It's pretty complicated, pretty big project, and we thought it'd be best for DWR to come to the council and brief you themselves. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Driller from DWR.
Thank you, Stuart. My name is Mike Driller. I'm the lead engineer on this project. I also have a handful of the design team that's with me to answer any questions if they come up. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I sent down there. Is that something that you guys will load up? Right. This is it's called the Perris Emergency Release Facility Project. Basically, this aerial shows the lake and some of the homes downstream of the dam. And on the scope of the project really is to be able to route flows in the very unlikely event, we don't think it's going to happen, but if we had to, let's say we had an earthquake, there were cracks in the dam, we would have to lower the water level and quickly. And currently, the valve for that is located just downstream of the dam. And if we had to do that today, we would open it up and it would flood Ramona Expressway and some of the homes downstream of the dam. Next slide, please. So this project really, the intent of it is to safely release flows in an event that we don't think will ever happen, but we need to be prepared. And the goal of this project is to safely redirect releases and protect life and property. Next slide. This is an overview of the project. The release point would be at the lower right-hand portion of the screen. What you see in yellow there is the levee. We call it the containment levee. It's about 10 to 15 feet in height. If you click on the presentation, it'll kind of time lapse and kind of show you. Go ahead and click. So this is what it would look like if you click it one more time and you click it one more time. Basically, the water. Okay, go back if you could. Yeah. The water will fill up between the levee and the dam, and then the water will be forced into a channel, and the channel is about a mile long, and ultimately the water will get to the Perris Valley drain and safely make its way. So that's the intent of this project. It's about 2 miles in length. As some of the structures here, there's a fairway culvert. I'll show you pictures of these in a minute. We'll be replacing 2 bridges, one at Lake Perris Drive and one at Evans Road. And next slide, please. Just to give you an idea, this is the fairway culvert. This is the side entrance into the fairgrounds, and there would be 4 box culverts. Next slide. This is the new bridge that will be at Lake Perris Drive. Next slide. And this is the Evans Road Bridge. And this is a large, as you guys are all aware, I'm sure that this is a large thoroughfare for traffic trending north-south. Next slide. So this is just an aerial that shows those three intersections and the work associated with that. There's a lot of details. I do have staff on the line to talk about the road work and some of the traffic concerns that you may have. Next slide. So the benefits of this project, it protects people and businesses during an emergency release of the dam. It also protects people and businesses during a large storm event. The channel itself accepts local drainage, so it alleviates that. And it upgrades and expands the existing infrastructure, including bridges and box culvert structures. Next slide. It's a complicated project in that there's a lot of stakeholders. We're working with several public agencies, landowners, and utility companies. Next slide. It has over 350 drawings. It's got a huge specification. It's got mechanical, electrical, structural, civil, hydraulic. It's got everything. It's Heinz 57 in terms of engineering and all the things that go into it. The work is done in large part by the Department of Water Resources, but with a lot of assistance from our consultants, including AECOM. Next slide. And this is where we're at. We're getting close to completing design. I think that we're probably going to be off that deadline by about a month. So everything is going to shift a month down from what you see here today. Advertised date is July 1st. And what we call our notice to begin work, that's when the contractor actually gets the contract and secures the work. It's not the date when he actually breaks ground. It's just the date when the contract between the department and the contractor is ratified. So we're looking at that for around October or November. The construction is anticipated to take just over 2 years. And so we're looking at a completion date of January 2024. And that's just a very brief overview about the project. I didn't want to get into the weeds too much on this, but if there's any questions that you have, either myself or some of the staff I have online could help answer those.
I have a question.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I know we're talking at least a year in the future, but do you have an estimate to how long, if any, road closures for Evans Road will be, or the work will be conducted at night to kind of mitigate the traffic flow in that area?
Currently, that work is going to be done in 2 phases, and the specification requires that the contractor is encouraged to do it in 8 months, no more than 8 months. Otherwise, the contractor will suffer potential liquidated damages. So we're trying to incentivize the work so that there's 8 months for each side. So a total of 16 months of work involved with Evans. At Lake Perris Drive, we've allowed 8 months for that work to be done. We do anticipate that the contractor will be working some weekends to make that schedule work.
Anybody else? Don't see anybody.
Hey, Mike, it might be important to let them know that we're not shutting down traffic. We're going to be phasing it, so there'll always be at least one lane.
Right, and maybe Clara, would you or Matt like to talk a little bit about that stage construction at Evans, a little more detail than I provided?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute Mike. Do you want to share the screen?
You want to share the screen? Is that what you're?
No, it's okay. I think
I'm
we're
just giving you something to talk about.
Yeah. So just to, your concern is for Evans Road. So like Mike said, that's going to be phased. in the northbound direction, and it's not going to be closed ever. There are options for detouring to kind of go around Evans, but that's an optional for configuration for that. But it will be in 2 phases. The northbound will be shut down, and the traffic will be shifted to the southbound lanes for the first phase. And then on the second one, it's the opposite. We'll construct the southbound direction and shift the traffic onto the northbound reconstructed lanes for Evans specifically.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, can someone from your team describe the truck route? Because I understand there's going to be quite a number of dump trucks, whatever you're called, going back and forth, not necessarily on Ramona, or I'm not really sure, but if you can touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know, Gina, did you want to handle that one, or you want me to talk about that one?
I can give it a shot, Mike. The approved haul route for this project from our EIR is similar to the haul route from the dam remediation project, which, if you remember, going back a few years from that project, the trucks would go northbound on Lake Perris Drive up near the state parks entrance, and then they would turn off to the right and get onto the state parks DWR property back in there. So we are anticipating for this project that trucks will be hauling material from the channel between the Perris Valley Channel and about the fairgrounds. That material will be excavated, and it will need to be moved back to the east near the dam to build the levee. So hopefully the trucks will go straight across through the fairgrounds area. That will shorten each round trip for the trucks, right? They won't need to go all the way up Lake Perris. But we do still have that approved haul route going up Lake Perris if there were to be some congestion with the contractor and they would not be able to go straight across through the fairgrounds. I know it's a little hard without a visual aid, but hopefully that was clear enough.
Yeah, visual aid would have been nice. So they're not going to be on Ramona Expressway at all then?
They will not.
Okay.
Right. So, well, there's not the haul traffic. There may be some isolated construction vehicles going in and out of the project site, but the haul route is for the most part going to be within the project boundaries. We will cross Evans, and there will be vehicles going from the project site onto Lake Perris Drive. At any location where we do have vehicles going from the construction site to any of those roads, there'll be a flagman there directing traffic and making sure everything is safe.
So you will be passing over Evans?
We're going to be going across, and it's not going to be near the intersection. We're going to be about 600 feet north of the intersection. We wanted to stay away from any impacts of the intersection itself, so.
My understanding, though, is there's going to be like 1,100 trips back and forth every day?
I don't think there's 1,100, no. I don't know what the number is. Gina might know. I don't believe it's going to be that kind of number. We didn't put any restrictions on there, but we could put restrictions on there to alleviate any concerns that you might have, where we could put time constraints on the contractor to not go between, let's say, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So if there's things like that, we're definitely willing to work with the city on eliminating any type of traffic problem.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, I'd be concerned regarding the city, and also the school district of Alberta Unified during the school morning hour. That is a lot of traffic going up and down LaSalle, Evans, however you want to put it. And then we have Pulte Homes. I noticed you had Richmond Homes, but Pulte Homes ended up buying the project there. So I don't know exactly when they're going to start doing their traffic, but they will be starting, I'm assuming sometime this year. Can you, staff, go back to the timeline that they have on their presentation?
I think it's second to last slide.
So I want to just reconfirm, what is the start date for the construction?
Okay, so the contractor will probably get the awarded the contract around November of this year, but it's probably going to take 3 months of paperwork and things before he actually hits the ground and you'll actually see anything. So probably it's going to be early 2022 before you see anything. Maybe February 2022.
Okay, so we're only talking a 2-year project, and I was informed that this was going to be a 4 to 5 year project.
We've done a detailed schedule on it, and our detailed schedulers are indicating 2.2 years for this project.
Well, that's a lot better. Okay, so my big thing is those truck routes, if you guys can just work with the city as far as timelines and maybe coordinate with the school district as well, that's Valverde Unified. And then with, I don't know what Pulte's plan is, what they're doing. I don't think they're going to be, they need dirt in. They're not going to be taking dirt out. So, but all that together is going to mitigate some issues there with traffic. So we can, sit on the table with all those entities, and it'll help out a great deal. And more
Is that primarily for Evans? Is that when you're thinking about that, you're thinking of Evans?
when you start crossing Evans, exactly, because prior
Yeah.
to you crossing Evans, you're not going to be on Ramona Expressway, so we don't have to worry about that traffic. The Lake Perris Drive, I mean, I don't, that you'll have traffic there during that's seasonal traffic during the summer, so of course you'd have to, alert the lake when you guys are going to start doing when that time comes. And of course, we're not in session right now either for schools, but we do have a lot of our residents, both Moval and the city of Perris as well, that goes back and forth to access Ramona Expressway, because that's the main thoroughfare to get over to the 215. So I saw a document that showed 1,100 and some trips of those trucks going back and forth on a daily basis. That's a lot. So someone needs to follow up on that. I don't have that, unfortunately, on me, but
You know what? Yeah. Go for it, Gina.
Gina, yeah. Our CEQA document estimates about 174 trips per day. 1,100 trucks is just, it's not possible. We're just planning to work,
perhaps it was a typo then. 174 sounds significantly a lot better than 1,100.
Yeah.
Okay, but even at that though, even 174 guys, it's a given that our guys with the flags don't do a very good job of controlling traffic, and they'll hold up traffic for a while, and I don't want to see it backed up. I understand you're going further north on it, but Ramona Expressway is a very dangerous intersection, so we need to take every precaution that we can for our residents and for our neighboring cities as well. I hate to see something happen because we're backing up and not properly managing that traffic flow. So go ahead.
I think we can do that, and we can work with you on that. If it makes you feel any better, when we put those numbers in there, we always shoot on the high side because it's not the real number that we think it's going to be. It's usually like, I don't even know if it's a factor 2 or whatever, but we make it a higher number just to cover ourselves. I think it's going to be less, and I definitely think we can put some constraints in there through. I can work with Stuart maybe on the times when we can put those kind of limitations in place on Evans.
Appreciate that. And then the last comment I would have is, is it in the works to have those flashing signs saying that future construction time, whatever it will be between this date and that date, there's going to be detours, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to be doing that? If I made myself clear on that one.
Claire, can you talk a little bit?
portable message signs, and they
Yes,
are included
right.
in the
Like the
design.
Caltrans signs with the flashing yellow lights.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know
that
the
will-
proper
that
terminology.
will be put in place prior to construction.
Okay, good.
And to inform the public.
Perfect. And then please keep our staff up to date, or in the loop too, because we can blast it all over Facebook and social media. We're always going to have those, that 10% is not going to not be aware of it. I just don't want to, I want to make this as easy as possible for everybody, because your 2 point some years is a lot better than what I heard first for 5 years, but even the 2 years is a long time for construction. So, and I think you narrowed it down to 18 months possibly for the Evans project. So anyway, everything you can do to help and work with our staff will be greatly appreciated.
And Claire, I think you reduced the speed limit 10 miles an hour. Is that what you guys are proposing?
Yes, we're also reducing the speed limit on Ramona with the additional signs for the doubled fine and construction zones. So there's other things that we're doing to mitigate some of what your concerns are for traffic.
Great, appreciate
And
it.
also those 2.5 years, keep in mind, that's not all on public roads.
Right,
So there's an overlap. Some of it's going to be off-site and not impacting the actual lanes configuration. So
understood. All right, perfect. Council, before we let them go, anybody else have any questions? Don't see no one flagging their hands. All right, Mike, thank you and your team for coming out and giving this presentation. I know it could have been a lot longer. I appreciate you narrowing it down for us. It's just something that it's very vital for us to be informed. So, because once this starts happening, trust me, our phone lines and emails are going to go up the skyrocket with our community. So we appreciate all the working together and with us and our staff.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications, which will be given by Naomi Acosta, the president of our Youth Advisory.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council and city staff, the Societal Subcommittee has actively continued to post informational resources on our social media platforms. This month, we will post resources on dealing with grief, as well as highlighting National Women's Month. Please follow us at Perris YAC. The Public Health Subcommittee would also like to thank everyone who attended the Youth Rising Against Tobacco and Vaping Virtual Summit. It was a pleasure for the YAC to present. Moving forward, the Public Health Subcommittee will be shifting its efforts in launching a marketing campaign supporting the Clean Air Initiative by educating our community of the harmful effects of smoking through the creation of social media graphics. Lastly, the Youth Advisory Committee would like to remind everyone that the YAC is accepting applications for the 2021-2022 year. Applications are available on the city website and are due by July 31st by 5 p.m. For more information, please contact the Perris Community Services Department. This concludes our updates. The Youth Advisory Committee would like to acknowledge and celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of all women on International Women's Day. As this year's theme mentions, from challenge comes change, so let's all choose to challenge. YAC hopes that everyone continues to stay safe and healthy. On a personal note, I would like to say hello to my mom and wish her a happy International Women's Day since it was yesterday. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Naomi. Appreciate that. Okay, item 8 is our approval of minutes. 8A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on February 23rd, 2021 of the City Council and all its other entities as listed on our agenda. If no one has any questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
A motion to approve the minutes?
A motion by Councilwoman Magana,
I will second that.
second by Councilman Corona. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas,
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 9 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will allow for public comment, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Council, does anybody have any requests to pull or comment or question on the consent calendar? Don't see anybody. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests from the public to speak on the consent calendar?
No, sir.
IT?
Yes, sir. Mr. Josh Nagar, your mic is on.
Mr. Nagar, you're on. Josh, if you can hear us, you're muted. Mr. Nagar, you have 3 seconds to come on if you're there, sir. The beauty of
I
electronics.
think he's celebrating International Women's Day.
He's got the drink in his hand, that's for sure.
I see. He's
Okay,
toasting all the
my
women.
apologies, Josh, if you can't hear us, we can't hear you, so. Okay, any others, IT?
No, sir.
All righty, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem. Please call a vote.
Councilmember Magana,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas,
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Item 10 is our public hearings. 10A is consideration to adopt the first reading of ordinance number next in order, adding section 10.24.210, which is a parking time limits on certain streets, to the city municipal code, and adopt resolution number next in order to update the parking fee schedule effective May 8th, 2021. And this will be introduced by our interim director of development services, Ms. Candida Neal.
Yes, good evening, council members and Mayor. I am not seeing the slideshow, the PowerPoint presentation up. Do you want me to? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Item 10 before you tonight includes an ordinance and a fee resolution that will allow parking enforcement staff to better enforce the existing parking limitations on D Street. Next slide, please. In 2017, the City Council adopted a resolution restricting parking on D Street between San Jacinto and 8th Street. The resolution allowed us to post the area with 2-hour parking limits. However, code enforcement officers were not able to issue fee citations. They could only issue warning citations. Since no fines were associated with the warning citations, we've had some issues with compliance, and this ordinance and fee resolution will, one, they'll modify the Perris Municipal Code, making it illegal to violate the parking limitations, and two, to establish a fee, $45 fee, if you violate those parking limitations, for people that violate those parking limitations. Next slide, please. Staff recommends, next slide, please. Staff recommends that you introduce at first reading the ordinance and adopt a resolution establishing this $45 fee. These actions will not establish any new parking restrictions, but they are designed to allow parking enforcement officers to better enforce the existing 2-hour parking restrictions on D Street. This concludes staff's presentation, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them.
Mike, there you go. Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay, just a real quick question. Is there proper signage there right now?
Yes,
That clearly, okay, so there's no confusion on what the time limit is, just some people are just figuring it, well, the city's not gonna enforce it anyway, so I can just park here as long as I want. Is that kind of the mentality?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councilwoman Magana?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just had a quick question. How do we plan on enforcing that since there aren't any metered parking spaces at the moment?
Well, there's certain times where the restrictions tend to be violated, and at those times, parking enforcement officers will go and survey and issue the tickets at that time. Tends to be in the middle of the day.
They can chalk the tires and they'll know what time they first came by and the second time around. So this, just to add to this, on my behalf, this is complaint driven from community members that people are blatantly, parking there and avoiding the 2-hour or not adhering to the 2-hour limit. So that's when I found out, discussing this with code enforcement, that there's no fee schedule. So again, it's being complaint driven from our own community. So hopefully this will help all the business owners along D Street as well. Anybody else?
Just one comment, Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, if we could reach out to the people in the senior apartments. I know some of them have in-home support services or other aides that come by, just letting them know that we are implementing this fee structure so that, people are accustomed to doing certain things certain ways. People might park there not anticipating a ticket, and I'd hate to, levy that $45 fine on people who are maybe not making as much money, or just in general, people might not know of the fine. So if we can maybe just reach out to the people at the Perris Station senior apartments, just letting them know the imposition of this fine, it would greatly be appreciated.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, and not just them, everybody along, wherever those signs are posted on D Street, I think everybody needs to have a fair warning that, hey, effective starting this day, we're gonna start issuing fines now. Everybody's accustomed to getting a warning notice as opposed to a fine, so sure, I think that's doable. Anybody else? Okay, very good. At this time, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. I will close the public hearing, and I will call for a motion on the first reading of the ordinance and the resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by our Mayor Pro Tem,
I second.
second by Councilwoman Magana. Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Magana?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb?
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Item 11 is our business items. We have none. Item 12 is public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
Yes, sir. Mr. Josh Nagar, your mic is on.
Can you hear me, Mayor?
We can hear you now, Josh. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Joshua D. Nagar, and I'm a local attorney and businessman. I've read through the hundreds of pages of the environmental impact reports related to the DWR project, And I note there are significant and unavoidable impacts listed in the documents that will impact the visual character of the area, the noise, and the traffic for years. The EIRs go on to indicate construction is planned from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It may last 2 or 3 years. It will include demolition and blasting, as well as 174 truck trips per day. I note 10 to 14 intersections were studied in the north of Perris, and more than one received a study grade of F during the construction period. And I quote, level of service F exists when the amount of traffic exceeds the amount that can travel to a destination and is characterized by stop and go waves, and they are extremely unstable, end quote. So for years, the north side of Perris will be defined by gridlock, extremely unstable roads, noise, and construction. And I think this will have many effects. Number one, the tourism, event, and restaurant industry will be severely impacted. The Toro Wapo Hispanic Rodeo and Dance, that was a massive win for cultural awareness and inclusivity in the entire IE, will likely cease operating altogether. And the events on the fairgrounds will also come to a virtual standstill. I know Ms. Miramontes wrote a very well-taken comment letter related to this. But apart from devastating the regional tourism and restaurant economy in that area and adding up to 30 minutes or more a day in commute times for many residents of North Perris, one of the big concerns comes from 2 comment letters in the EIRs. One was the comment by CAL FIRE, and the other comment was by Val Verde School District. The traffic impacts will be most severe from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then later in the evening from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that is when the school children will be getting dropped off and picked up at Val Verde, which already has traffic issues. But the traffic's not the only concern here. The fire department comment letter indicates the construction will have an adverse impact on its ability to provide an acceptable level of service. So the question is, are our response times going to be worse for students at Val Verde who experience an emergency, or citizens in the North Perris, especially during peak traffic hours for 2 or 3 years? The concern is that adding minutes or more to an emergency may cause unnecessary loss or detriment to Perris lives. So consequently, I think the city of Perris should consider, if it hasn't already, that response times are quantifiable and certain, meaning we know what they are now and we can estimate what they will be during the construction. And emergency services are contracted, so we know what they cost. Therefore, I wonder if the city of Perris can request DWR mitigate the unsafe condition to the students and citizens of North Perris by providing more emergency contract personnel such that the response times remain equal to or less than they were before the construction. My second request would be to consider requesting DWR provide monies to assist with the damage to the local economy and businesses caused by the construction activity. In closing, I can't stress enough how impactful this event has been and will continue to be to the tourism and business community on the north side, as well as to the quality of life and safety for the citizens of Perris, California. And I hope the city of Perris can follow up on Ms. Miramontes' EIR comment letter and request as much mitigation as possible. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Josh. Anybody else? IT?
Yes, sir. Ms. Jocelyn, your mic is on. What's going on here? Okay, she needs to get promoted to finalist.
Where'd she go? You make her a
I had to.
She's on an old version. Oh, she's on an old version.
Did we lose her?
We had to promote her to a panelist in order for her to speak. Ms. Jasmine, your mic should be on.
Oh, hi. First off, good evening. I had a question regarding construction that is happening behind my home. And as a concerned resident of Perris, I would like to demand answers of what is being built behind the homes of Copper Street, because we received no notice or letter concerning this construction, and we would like to know what is being built, especially if this disrupts our day-to-day routine and well-being.
Jasmine, I couldn't quite hear which project are you talking about? The construction where?
The construction behind the homes of Copper Street. They're building something behind our homes, and I'm not quite sure what it is, and I just want to know what is being built there and if it will disrupt our day-to-day routine and well-being here.
Okay, I see a lot of confused faces too. We're not picking up exactly what we're talking about. So do me a big favor. The easiest email to remember is mayor@cityofparis.org. Mayor@cityofparis.org. Send me an email, and then I can forward it to a staff member that can hopefully answer your question, okay?
I wrote an email to the office, but I never got a response back.
Okay, send the email to me, the mayor@cityofparis.org. Can you write that down somewhere?
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay, mayor@cityofparis.org, and I'll make sure someone gets back to you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, IT?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 13 is our council communication. Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start out by thanking the speakers, the public speakers. Thank you so much. And, it's always important that we're always stay up to date and concerned about what's going on. So I definitely hope that our staff reaches out to the speakers. I want to start out by wishing our interim city manager Miramontes and our assistant city manager Ms. Carlos and my colleagues as well, Councilwomen Rogers and Magana, and our city clerk Nancy Salazar, and all of the wonderful women in our city staff, and of course all the women in Perris. And I do want to wish them a wonderful Women's History Month. I do feel blessed to be surrounded by very smart, intelligent, and strong women here on the council and in my own personal life. So thank you for setting a great example for future generations of upcoming women. Last week, myself and Councilwoman Magana met with law enforcement and code enforcement and SWAG and city staff to address the issue with the homeless in our city, in the city of Perris, with the homeless task force. I thought it was a very productive meeting, and that we're all being able to share ideas and share what's going on with what's going on, especially in the current environment that we are right now. So I know that we're going to continue to work together in serving the needs of our homeless population in a compassionate but a responsible manner. I also want to thank our residents for continuing their efforts and their patience and looking out for one another with the virus, with the pandemic. Here we are approaching a year. I like to think it kind of it impacted our lives really on March 13th is when the schools just started shutting down. It just happened so fast. And here we are a year later, and the schools are barely starting to open up. We're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. More and more people are getting vaccinated. So as things are opening up, I just want to encourage you to continue to stay vigilant, continue to stay careful, because we've seen the numbers go down, and then what happens? People get too comfortable, a holiday comes around, and then they shoot right back up. There are still people getting sick. Unfortunately, there are still people dying, but we are still finally starting to see light at the end. It's going to happen, but it's really going to take the efforts of all of us. So I just want to continue to encourage everybody to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Magana?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to start off by thanking our public speakers who voiced their concerns during tonight's meeting. And as was mentioned, March is Women's History Month, where we highlight the historical, culture, and political achievements of women. And it's a time to celebrate women who have challenged expectations and been on the front lines of change. And also navigating this pandemic has definitely been no exception, where we see women once again demonstrate their great strengths and their magic, right? So a great thank you to all our women out there. We see you and I stand with you. So thank you so much for what you do, not only in our homes, but for our community. And on another note, the reported positivity rates for Perris and Riverside County are decreasing, as was also mentioned. So that is great news. I work for a local community college, and we also have a deadline or a hard set date of when we return back to campus. So in the meantime, please get vaccinated if you are able to do so, and remain following the protocols, wearing your mask, washing your hands, and socially distancing the best that you can. So other than that, that concludes my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
I also want to congratulate all the exceptional women out here that are doing great things and making differences in their communities. So, and I want to especially congratulate the grandmas, because grandmas are the start of the whole legacy for the little children, for their own children. So to all the great grandmas and grandmas, congratulations, because you are the legacy. Yes, our numbers are going down, but I just saw today that they're anxious to take us to the red tier. But before we can do that, we need more people to test. So for those of you who haven't gotten tested or haven't been tested in a while, we are still offering testing at our own gymnasium, or you can have your provider give you a test, or Kaiser, or any of the CVS or Rite Aid, or any of the drugstores will do it as well. The more people that test, the quicker we could get to the red tier, which will give us an opportunity to have more shopping, more movies, more things that we want to go back to a normal life. But right now we're still in purple, so we've got to follow the guidelines and the regulations under the purple tier. So some of the school districts will be opening up, some will remain closed. So keep the little children in your prayers as they go back from distance learning into the classroom. They've only got a couple months left in the school year, so that transition is going to be a little difficult for them. So keep those little ones in your prayers. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I'd like to wish all my colleagues on the council, along with all our female staff, a happy Women's History Month. I really appreciate your contributions. And just want to reiterate the live stream, if you aren't able to. There's always a need for blood donors. Even during this time of COVID, they still are accepting donors. And you can go to livestream.org or call 1-800-879-4484 to donate blood. And that's livestream.org. There's donation facilities in Riverside on Van Buren, along with Murrieta, and one in San Bernardino. Once again, they are always looking for donors. Also, I just wanted to let the public know that the Perris Library is now open. You can go in for up to an hour to check out books. If you're tired of watching the same thing on Netflix and you want to, actually, you're like me, you like to have a hardcover book, you can go there and you can check out books. And the library is open once again for browsing. I just want to reiterate that we are almost at the end of this. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. People are getting vaccinated. The numbers are going down. But continue to socially distance. I know Easter is right around the corner. Everyone's going to want to get together to make up for lost time for Christmas and Thanksgiving. But continue to encourage the most at-risk people to get vaccinated if they're able to. Continue to wear your mask. I know it's hard. When I go over to visit my dad and my stepmom, they're both in their 70s. My dad will turn 80 this year. I double mask to be sure, even though he's recently received the second dose of the vaccine. So just continue to think about the people that may be immune compromised, the people, elderly people, and just continue to mask up, continue to socially distance. If you can, get the vaccine and encourage other people to get the vaccine too. And just want to wish everyone a happy Women's History Month. Take the time out to read up on different women that have contributed to society, not just in America, but worldwide. And once again, thank you for everyone for coming, calling in, watching on YouTube, Facebook, and all other sources to watch the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, just a reminder to everybody out in the public, street racing. If you're having issues with street racing in your area, your communities, please call the Police Sheriff's Department at 951-776-1099, option 5. It's important for us to gather the data, where it's happening, what times, so they can start getting patterns. I know a lot of you get frustrated because you call and they don't show up, but there are priority calls. But if they have enough data showing good indications to times and locations, it could help them work out some special details to try to stop this illegal racing and donuts and what have you. I had the honor on February 28th to present to a longtime Perris resident. Her name is Yvonne Craven. She turned 81 years old, technically on February 29th, leap year, but always celebrates her birthday on the 28th. I was able to meet with her on the 27th and present her a plaque from the mayor and the city council honoring her on her 81st birthday. So once again, happy birthday, Miss Yvonne Craven. You're 81 years young. I'm going to be introducing the beautification committee. I know the city has had it in the past, but I really want this one to be more, this needs to really be driven to the most that we can do here. And of course, once it's all comprised, we'll bring it back to an agenda item and have it ratified by the council. But the beautification committee, my thought process is to serve as an advisory committee to the mayor and the city council for the purpose of enhancing the appearance of Perris through initiatives such as, but not limited to, establishment and maintaining public planting areas, graffiti and debris removal in an effort to make Perris a better place to live, work, and play. This committee will serve as a platform to assist the mayor and city council and staff by engaging with community volunteers to encourage and promote participation in activities focused on enhancing the appeal of the city of Perris. I'm thinking it's going to be comprised of 5 volunteers made up of community members, a staff member from Public Works, as well as a staff member from Community Services. And the mayor, I'd like to sit on it, and another council person, or we might just let this be ran by our interns. It's still in the thought process. And finally, the committee will also seek to build working partnerships with local organizations to promote, encourage, and support participation in beautification projects and cleanup activities to benefit our community. I want our community to have a sense of ownership. We get a lot of complaints, a lot of phone calls about this. Well, you know what? Let's all get together now. Let's really work this out in a good think tank and help the mayor and council and staff to promote our city and get it cleaned up. So that'll be forthcoming, and then the way I want it to be is the 5 volunteers is going to be appointed by each council. Each council person is going to appoint someone from their area to represent us. I want the entire city to be covered, so we are going to have to come up with some type of a zoning, if you will. And the mayor will all have one person, and all council will all have one person, and they're going to be responsible to gather ideas, be our eyes, and come together to this committee. We may start off monthly, maybe a quarterly, we don't know. It's going to be a process in works, but I think this is very important right now, and to have our community input and have them take ownership would be really beneficial to everyone. So if you can start thinking of someone that you'd like in your area, I would appreciate that very much. The numbers are going down, as everybody keeps on saying, and I think that's great. Keep on practicing that social distancing, wearing your mask. That does help, and continue testing as well. And I, too, as everybody else, like to wish Happy Women's Day to all our women in our city of Perris, all our young ladies everywhere in the city, city staff and council, and my wife. If I don't say that, I'll got to throw that one in there. And with that, we would move on to Item 14, which is our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'd like to announce that the COVID-19 testing and vaccination is still taking place at the Bob Glass Gymnasium. Testing site remains open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the vaccination site remains open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Appointments are required for the vaccinations. You can visit www.cityofparis.org for testing and vaccination registration and information. I'd also like to announce that today city staff did install 174 white flags in memory of the 174 lives lost in Perris due to COVID. We will be holding a drive-through vigil next Friday evening. Details will be coming out, and just be on the lookout for some postings on our social media as to details and the organizing of the drive-through vigil. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 15 is our adjournment. We will be adjourning this evening in memory of Inez Charmaine Carr, the mother of our former Assistant City Manager, Mr. Ron Carr, who passed away on March 7th, 2021. With that, thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. Please stay safe, wear your mask, keep your social distancing, and we'll see you at our next meeting. Good night, everyone.